All right, there we go. All right, today we have Bree Tarmy, and she's going to talk about coping with mental health and anxiety during COVID-19. Bree, I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead.
All right, so thank you everybody for logging on to Zoom today. I know this isn't necessarily the most happy and uplifting topic, but it's something that we do need to talk about, and it is important to talk about it. So next slide. So it's good to start before the pandemic. So thinking back at what we were doing before the pandemic hit, it feels like we could have really done anything. So we just had like normal everyday stress and anxiety of everyday life. But those stressors and anxieties could have been lifted by social and physical wellness. So that could include spending time with friends and family in person, going out to dinner and lunch, going over people's houses, and not even thinking twice about it. If you had like a doctor's appointment or a therapy session or somewhere that you needed to go, you didn't think about the people that you would come into contact with while you're going there, and you could have brought somebody close to you with you to support you in those appointments. And then bringing it back to exercise and physical health, you could have attended group exercise classes, public gyms. There's all kinds of people that are always in public gyms. We didn't even think about how many people we were coming into contact with while exercising. And then I really think that exercise is the best medicine. If I'm feeling anxious and I go on a run, I never feel worse after exercising. I always feel better. So, just the mental aspect of getting out and exercising is a huge benefit for anxiety. Next slide, please. So in the early stages of coronavirus, no one really knew what was going on. The media was just kind of putting out any and all information, whether it was correct or incorrect, and it just caused mass hysteria with everybody. Nobody knew what they were doing. We were just trying to collect supplies and trying our best to stay safe. It was hard navigating what activities were safe and unsafe. We don't normally think about, is it safe to go to the grocery store? Do I have enough toilet paper at home? Do I have enough hand sanitizer on hand? Soap, things like that. And then you get to the store and there's not any supplies there for you to get because everybody has already snatched it up because we don't know what we're facing up ahead. And then another aspect is once we started putting these different guidelines and rules into place about wearing a mask and staying socially distanced and staying inside, if you have left the state recently, you start thinking back to 2 weeks prior. Who were you interacting with? Who were you seeing? What were you doing? Were you being mindful to wash your hands before touching your face or something like that? And that can just be really anxiety inducing in itself because God forbid you had the coronavirus or something like that, or you had a sickness and you think about all the people that you could have given it to in that short period of time. Relating it back to physical fitness again, you could have been pumping along on your exercise program, seeing really good benefits from that, getting stronger, healthier, feeling better, and then suddenly all of the gyms were closed. In some places you couldn't go outside to utilize parks and things like that. And that's really depressing to think that all of your progress that you had been making was just kind of out the window. And also everybody, like they were doing at the grocery stores collecting supplies, everybody was grabbing a hold of all types of exercise equipment to do at home. So it was hard to get a hold of maybe the tools that you would need to continue your exercise program at home because it was so hard to get weights or plates or a bar or a treadmill or an exercise bike. It was almost impossible to order one of those. Next slide, please. So I actually didn't really think about this portion of the PowerPoint until I started making the PowerPoint. So we have kind of been fortunate the last couple of months that it's been the summertime. We've been able to get outside and, be outside in the warmth, and it's fun and it's sunny and everything is green and blooming and it's really exciting to be outside. But we're in New England and we're heading into some not so great times. We might get a lot of snow. It's going to be really cold. And it's going to be hard to maintain getting outside and staying active and aerobically exercising outdoors. It's also easy to maintain socially distant outside. It's hard to do that inside, or if you don't feel comfortable heading back into a gym quite yet. And then also moving into the holiday season. The holiday season is an anxious and stressful time for many people as it is. But now if we think about potentially a second wave coming, how family members are going to get to you if they're traveling from far away, if it's safe to travel. I don't know. Or you could just spend it alone and kind of have a socially distanced holiday via like FaceTime or something, which can also be extremely depressing and saddening when, especially for a lot of people, the holidays are a time of family togetherness and just an uplifting time, maybe the only time of year you see your family members. Next slide, please. So right now, as far as the second wave, I wasn't able to find really good research in the United States about if we are thinking that a second wave is coming. But right now in Europe, COVID-19 is spiking very, very quickly. Even they're seeing more cases even higher than the ones that they were seeing in the height of the pandemic. So they're having to re-implement all of the bans that they had lifted, the slight bans that they had lifted during the summertime, and they're even being harsher than they were initially, just so they can try to stop. And right now the CDC is saying that there's a slight increase in the United States, but we should just look at Europe and take that as a warning that we need to tighten up. We shouldn't be getting loose with the mask wearing or being socially distant because we don't know what's to come, and we need to prepare for the worst so that we don't see what we saw earlier this year. Next slide, please. So this is the happy part. So what we can do now. So plan. So plan to just live life exactly how you're doing it now. Wear a mask, stay socially distant. Don't start getting loose with the rules just because we've been doing it for a while. It's best practice is just keep doing what the CDC is telling us to do. Another thing to stay, mentally well is make accountability lists. If you want to list out the things that you want to get done for the day, the week, the month, and then check them off as you do them. So you can just be like, yeah, I did that. I'm doing all right today. I'm feeling good today. You can familiarize yourself with new technology such as Zoom. You all are doing great on Zoom now, and FaceTime. I understand that it can be a little bit tricky to navigate new technology and things like that, but once you do, it's really beneficial. It's great to be able to see somebody face to face, see them smile. And then you can try to put together a fun workout plan that you know will be manageable for you at home. So our YouTube channel is a great way to have new workouts that you can do at home, or you can go back to our blogs because everybody has great workouts every single week that we suggest. And then I understand that sometimes we don't feel like getting active and working out, but even just putting on music that you like can help to lift your mood and maybe make you want to do a little exercise or something like that. And then most importantly, to stay current. So keeping up to date with the latest COVID-19 updates from reliable sources. So I like getting my information from the CDC and the World Health Organization. Because I know that there's sources that I can trust and that are reliable, because it's very easy to get sucked into reading false information and then it gets in your mind and you start thinking about it. So that's good. Next slide. I think that's it. Okay. Are there any questions? That was a lot.
You did a great job. So I'm going to let anyone ask any questions.
Are people regularly wearing masks?
On campus or in general?
In general.
In general, well, when I'm on campus, everybody is wearing a mask. Everybody's been really good about that. I don't think I've seen anybody with their mask down even below their nose, so that's really good to see on campus. But I also work in the community, so I At work, we have plexiglass up, but some people don't understand that they have to raise their voice quite a bit in order for me to hear you on the other side of the glass. So they'll take their mask down. And I definitely see people starting to get a little bit loose with wearing their masks out in like public, in my own personal life, not on campus. So, I don't know. I went to get my tires changed a couple weeks ago, and I walked into the place and they said, we're not CDC compliant. So that's what they said to me. And none of them were wearing masks. So kept my distance, do a little wave.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I may just jump in here. I've been impressed with how students have, I think the town of Durham was a little nervous about when students were going to come back and how things were going to change, because without the students here, it was kind of easy. The population density was low. You could go and wander around the woods, go jogging or hiking or whatever. And I have to say, I'm generally very pleased with how responsible students have been about masking and everything else, and so that's really was a welcome sign.
Yeah.
And I think the university's done a really great job in being really looking at how to make this work. And that's been great. One other thing that came to mind during your talk, though, is a lot of the emotions involved in dealing with COVID-19. This kind of insecurity, not knowing what to do, stress, having to change lifestyles. I hate to say, but I think we're going to have a lot of this ahead of us soon with global climate change, and that's going to be on a long time scale, And so I think your generation is, you're going to have some challenges very similar to the ones you've pointed out, but in some sense going deeper into what life is all about. So
it's
do you
hard.
think that's true? I mean, I
do think it's true. It's hard. Yeah. I remember back when we started wearing masks, we would think like, how long are we really going to have to wear these for? Like, is this really what we're going to have to be doing? And now it's just about accepting it. That's what we have to do in order to stay safe. And it's a mental game. So this is what we have to do. I'm just going to act like we're going to do this forever. And maybe one day if we don't have to wear it, it'll be a great day when I find out that we don't have to wear it anymore. But right now, this is what we have to do, and we'll just accept it.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's a really key thing that you bring up, Marty, and that like Bree kind of harps on is that, the resiliency that we're building is just valuable, and it's going to carry us through to, whatever the next challenge that society faces. The adaptability that we've shown and the ability to, pivot on large scale is good. Now, you could get into some arguments, and we do get into arguments, is the United States doing enough? But that's not this platform right here. But I agree that, on campus, the students, they're holding to it. And the testing program that UNH has set up is state of the art. And, the number of tests that we're cranking out and the percentage rate is pretty low. And yes, we're in a nice, safe area for the most part. I think it's good. I think the adaptation that we've seen in the students is positive. And what are we now? The end of the fourth week, guys, already? Like, wow, that's kind of cool.
I think New Hampshire's record just came down a notch to we're just above the green zone. We're in the yellow. We were in the orange below the red before. I did last week, or there was a number of infections and so on that drove it up, but it's coming down, so a big chunk. So it's good that things are happening this way, and I think we're getting used to it. And we realize, it takes for some people a long time to realize what has to happen, but it's happening.
Yeah. So, Bree, do you think, based on your research that you found, do you think that the anxiety levels are different in different countries, I'm sorry, than compared to the United States?
Well, in general, it seems like the coronavirus has been in other countries before it has reached us. So we've kind of had warning signs ahead of time, but we didn't really take it seriously. And we kind of had we kind of knew what was coming when we decided not to listen to the warning signs of, we need to mask up, we need to socially distance, we need to take this seriously because we don't want this to happen to us. We see what's going on in other countries and we really don't want that to happen to us. So in a way, I think that our anxiety here is less because we can see what's going on other places, and it's very similar to what they had predicted is going to happen. So it's just kind of us collectively as a country, a little bit being ignorant and just saying, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. But they did know what they were talking about, and we didn't listen. So now this is the result. I think we should start to get a little bit more anxious after seeing what's going on in Europe. But I don't know. We'll see. There are plenty of naysayers out there.
Excellent. All right.